Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlota. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tigers Live after the Memphis Tigers beat Wichita State 61-53. I'm your host, Francis Carlotta, host of Tigers Live for Bluff City Media. Welcome, everybody, to the show. It's great to see y'all. My birthday was yesterday, so I'm glad that Memphis was able to get a win, kind of for my birthday, a little bit-ish, kind of ish birthday. Day after birthday, I guess, but I'll take it. I really wanted a pretty win. I wanted a pretty win pretty badly, and unfortunately, that's not what we got. That is not at all what we got. But hey, that's okay. Memphis still gets a win, 61-53. We keep pushing. We keep moving along. Shout out to everybody in the comments. I'll be joined by Roman Clear in just a moment, and when I see Roman, I'll add him to the stage. Then after Roman leaves, we'll go to a commercial break, and I'll rejoin y'all. Talk with you all in the comments and get out of here. We got a big game Sunday, so that's a big one. It's a big matchup. UAB starting to play better basketball, so it's a really big matchup Sunday. So this was kind of the breather for Tigers Live before we have the massive game on Sunday against UAB. But to everybody tuning in, to everybody in the comments, thank you everybody. Timo, appreciate the birthday love. I appreciate all of y'all in the comments. Coach Kelly here, happy belated birthday. Thank you, man. Thank you, Coach. You've known me forever, so it's I appreciate you a lot. King Minks as well. Appreciate the love from all of y'all for sure. As Timo said earlier, this team continues to scare me. It's like you read my mind, man. It's at no point in time can we, as people who watch Tiger basketball, breathe and relax, even in a moment in a game where you expect for us to be able to breathe and relax. It's hard to. But hey, I see Roman has joined the stream, so let me go ahead and add him. Roman Cleary, what's going on?
Oh, what's happening, Francis? What's happening? What a wild one for sure there.
My gosh, man! How many times are we going to do this show where I say, I ask how's your heart rate, I ask how are you doing, because it is I was shivering a little bit because I was so nervous about this game. When another reason you shouldn't have been nervous about this game, Roman. But all the turnovers, all the carelessness, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But Roman, give me your thoughts on the game as a whole.
Sorry, what was that? Someone just came up to me.
All good. I just want to hear your thoughts on the game as a whole, man.
Well, I mean, really bad first half, and I guess better second half. I guess that's the overall summary. 14 first half turnovers cannot happen. It just can't happen. I think that's the first thing that needs to be said here. Memphis averages 14.4 turnovers a game, and that's already bad enough. That's 341st in the country. And you basically get your turnover average in the first half, and even though you only limited yourself to 5 in the second half. Why can't Memphis just have 5 turnovers per half? If Memphis finishes each half with 5 turnovers, I imagine they win almost every game in the AAC by double digits, which they almost did towards the end because they did go up by 10 for a second there. But also, Memphis is extremely lucky that Wichita State was as bad as they were on the offensive end tonight. The Shockers are, let's just say they're 1-5 in this league for a reason. They have not shot the ball well all year, and that continued tonight for sure. I mean, Memphis was probably never going to lose to a team that's this inept offensively, but they're not going to be facing a lot of teams, even in the AAC, that are this bad from a shooting perspective, a bunch more times. They're especially not going to on Sunday when UAB comes it down. Memphis is very fortunate that they got out of this one to win.
I think fortunate's the great word there, Roman. Memphis is very fortunate to come out of this game with a W. Wichita State shot 3 for 16. Yep, 3 for 16 from the floor. 18.8%. Sorry, 3 for 16 from three. I'm sorry, not from the floor. 18.8%. Sorry, my contacts are crappy. But yeah, they couldn't hit the broadside of the barn from three. They really struggled just shooting the ball. And they also had, look, Memphis for the game. If you had told me, Roman, that Wichita State would finish the game with more turnovers than Memphis did, I would have just not believed you. I just wouldn't have believed you. But that's what happened. Wichita State had 22 turnovers. Memphis, to their credit, to be positive, they finished with 20, if you can even be positive about that. But like you said, only 5 in the second half. So they ramped up pressure.
It was 6 by the end. I'm sorry.
6. I'm sorry. 6. I'm sorry. Yes, 6. I apologize. So they ramped up the pressure on Wichita State. They forced somehow the Shockers to commit more turnovers than Memphis. I just cannot believe that's a real thing, considering how bad the first half was. But
that's a sign of a bad team. That's a sign of a bad team. If your opponent commits 14 first-half turnovers and yet you still finish the game with more turnovers than they did, that's a sign of a bad team. That's just the reality. Memphis underperformed against a bad team, and they won. It's as simple as that here. I think you could come up with some kind of, excuse or explanation for every single other time Memphis has, underperformed in AAC play, if you will, so far. North Texas had literally a top 5 defense in the country heading into that game, and it's now moved up to a top 3 defense, if I'm not mistaken, since that game. East Carolina was literally played in the middle of another snowstorm. So you can argue that may have played into some kind of factor. Memphis, as bad as it was, getting out-rebounded like that at Temple, they still probably were better on both the offensive and defensive end of that game. They just couldn't, for some reason, rebound the ball there. But you can't come up with anything for this game. This just comes down to a lack of urgency and a lack of attention to detail for Memphis. Penny Hardaway spent a good 2 or 3 minutes in yesterday's media availability just going over all the various ways he's been trying to drill into this Memphis team to not turn the ball over, whether it's 17s or Indian runs or push-ups, this, that, and the third. It just hasn't gotten through to this group that they cannot afford to turn the ball over, because if they do so, teams are going to linger around in these games. They're going to have a chance to beat Memphis and put another quad 3 loss on the resume, or even worse, a possible quad 4 loss. If Memphis took a second quad 3 loss tonight, that would have been not necessarily backbreaking, but it would have been really bad for the resume there.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely would have. It definitely would have hurt the resume a ton. Dropped a full seed line, I'm sure, if they had found a way to lose this game. I see the comments in the chat. There's obviously a time and place for positivity. You don't got to hear that from me. I'm a positive human being. But also at the same time, we have to acknowledge that Memphis played probably its worst half of basketball the entire year today against Wichita State. The sloppiness, the laziness, the lack of give a damn that I saw from this team the first half was jarring. It was absolutely horrendous, the type of effort that they played with, or lack thereof effort. There was basically none on the floor. Just the awful turnovers, not taking care of the basketball, not playing as a team, not playing with energy, not playing with urgency. We have to be real about that. That is the biggest irk that we all have with this team, is that they have way too many moments where they play like they just don't know how to play basketball. And me and Roman, we've talked about this so many times. It's really all mental. I don't think at all. It's not fair to be like, oh, well, it's all Penny Hardaway's fault. He's not on the floor. He's not playing the game. The guys on the floor are the ones who are making the mistakes. And at some point in time, they've got to find a way to not let these moments happen. And yes, again, I see it. They didn't lose. Absolutely. And that's fantastic. I'm so glad that Memphis didn't lose this game. I'm so glad, because if they did, oh my gosh, it would have been like doomsday in all of Tiger Nation, because everyone would have freaked out. So yes, at the end of the day, Memphis still didn't win, and we'll talk about the game as a whole, I'm sure. But let's start in the beginning, Roman. Still starting Cisse over Danger. I gotta ask you, because it seemed like a conscious effort from Memphis to keep throwing the ball to Cisse, get him touches early on, and that led to 3 turnovers pretty quickly, and Memphis getting to 0 flow. So what do you think has to happen for Memphis just to start danger? Like what has to give?
Maybe this might be it because Cisse commits 2 turnovers, and he also committed an over-the-back foul pretty early on in the game that arguably cost Memphis an additional offensive possession. So you can pretty much equate that to a third turnover right there. Cisse has been a pretty definitive, negative offensively to start games the majority of the time. Yeah, sure, you have your outliers like what happened at the start of the Ole Miss game, but I think that cannot, I guess, take precedence over what happened against San Francisco earlier this season, or what happened tonight, or any of the other slow starts that we've seen Memphis have on the offensive side. And perhaps this is the boiling point right here, because it's going to be hard to overcome 3 turnovers in a span of like 5 minutes there. Again, technically only 2 turnovers, but that offensive foul that he committed might as well count as a third.
Right. No, I'm with you. It's tough because I said this on Tigers Live last time. The only thing I can think of as to why Memphis keeps starting Cisse over Danger is because Memphis and the coaching staff, they know that it's harder for Cisse to get into the rhythm of basketball games. So at the start of a game where you sure as hell can't win a game in the start, you can't technically lose it either. So it's kind of like the least amount of ramifications at the very start of a basketball game. So Memphis is like, let's get Cisse involved on the offense. Let's draw plays to get him easy baskets. Let's give him some post touches to see if he can score in the paint. I think that's a clear, conscious choice by the coaching staff, which is why they start Cisse. But I'm with you, Roman. It took me some time to be fully with you and Kenny, but I'm fully with you all now. That's not worth it. Like it's not any positive ramification. It's just not worth it because Memphis can't keep getting to these awful starts to start games on the offensive side. That just can't happen anymore. I know it's the AC. I know the conference is bad, but no, this can't happen anymore. Danger has to start. They have to just get off to a good offensive rhythm as a team, as a whole. Forget trying to get Cisse off to a good start. Let's get the team off to a good start. And so I'm fully with you, Roman, that it's time to start Danger. So besides the issues with Cisse, though, it was just as a whole pretty poor effort to end the half, just throughout the whole entire first half as a whole. How were you feeling entering the second? What was your level of concern entering the second half, Roman?
I wasn't really concerned in terms of whether or not Memphis was going to lose the game, because as bad as Memphis performed from a turnover perspective, you could still argue that Wichita State played even worse than Memphis in the first half because of how many times they failed to capitalize off of those turnovers. Like, I don't know what's more, I guess, I don't like what's more disgusting, if you will. The fact that Memphis turned the ball over that many times, or that Wichita State failed to pull out ahead in a way that they should have. They never led in either half by more than 7 points, and they went to halftime with a 4-point lead. Yeah. So I always knew that Memphis was probably going to come back and win the game, because it's just really hard to lose to a team that's that inept from an offensive perspective. So I wasn't really concerned about Memphis losing this game, but it is definitely alarming from a long-term point of view, especially with UAB, who's red hot right now coming in on Sunday. That's a potential quad 3 loss right there. That will be a quad 3 loss if Memphis drops that one. So, yeah.
Well, to your point about Wichita State, just them not playing well, as a whole, Roman, they only had 12 points off of 20 Memphis turnovers. And that's not good, man. Like, that's
terrible.
That's really bad. Yeah, that's not going to get it done. They didn't take advantage at all of all the mistakes that Memphis had. Memphis actually had more. They had 18 points off of Wichita State's 22 turnovers. So that's essentially the game right there. The fact that Memphis did a better job capitalizing off of Wichita State's mistakes than Wichita State did, than capitalizing off of Memphis' mistakes. That's essentially the ball game. And as we get into the second half, the second half, they, like, as you tweeted out, I think they only had 1 turnover through the first 8 minutes or so of the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. They finished the first half or finished second half with 6 turnovers and only 1 in the first 8 minutes. So the ball security was undoubtedly much better there. And I do have to say, as much as we're kind of harping on Memphis for the turnovers, you still have, I think you still have to give them credit for the way they performed defensively.
Yes.
They were very very active on that side. They didn't give Wichita that many opportunities to really take advantage of those turnovers, if you will. Like you didn't see nearly as many open 3-pointers. They were able to clog the lanes when they needed to. They blocked shots. This was maybe one of their better defensive performances of the year.
I agree. I think I fully agree. They all seem to be locked in. They rotated very well. You didn't see a lot of blown coverages either at the rim or on the perimeter.
Oh, excuse me. I see Penny Hardaway. He's here.
Okay, no worries, Roman. I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. All right, so that's Roman Cleary. He's got to go do his press duties. He's at the FedEx Forum for anybody who doesn't know. I will quickly send this to a commercial break. And as we were just starting to talk about the second half, y'all, do we have a fun second half to talk about? And I have a lot of thoughts on that second half. So we'll get into that on the other side of this commercial break. See y'all then.
In the 2 games, I don't know. I guess I expected to see more from Wemby, just because I've seen more. Like you, I haven't really watched the Spurs, but I've seen a lot of highlights of him, and I've seen a lot of stat lines from him that are incredible. And his stat lines were good against us, but I don't think they were impactful.
His play was underwhelming. But to me, it was the shot selection was awful. Because of his length, it's very hard to contest anything. He caught the ball at the free throw line one time, made the dribble, and then opened up for a layup, and I was like, holy shit. Dude was at the rim laying the ball, over the top of Jaren. Just literally, I was like, God, dog. I don't know why. I'm glad he don't do that more often.
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight, on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
I'm freaking sick and tired of the metrics. Metrics. You know what I'm saying? The metrics are ruining college basketball, and I think we need to do away with them. I know I'm one of the ones that's always looking at them, and I can't help it. But it's because the damn things are updated every single night. If a team went out there and won every single game this year by 1 point, their metrics would be shit, but they would be the national champion. We have a good resume, and we're going to get hurt down the stretch because we're not beating teams by 20 plus. And I think that's stupid.
College basketball, very specifically, is quite unpredictable.
TJ.
And you get these weird runs, dude, and this stuff happens all the time. So when people mention Kim Palm, I'm like, okay, you can use it sometimes, but it can't be your Bible for a lot of this stuff.
The metrics,
you can't use it that way.
And these dorks and these computers are trying to make college basketball make sense. And that's the beauty of college basketball, is it doesn't freaking make sense.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with your hosts, Trey Lasley and TJ Willis, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Tigers Live after Memphis beats Wichita State 61-53. We were just starting to get into the second half. And before I do, to everybody tuning in, thank y'all for tuning in. Get into the comment section. I see y'all. I see everything. I see y'all popping in there. Keep going. I'll definitely got a lot of thoughts on things that are being said, so don't worry. So let's talk about this second half. As I was talking with Roman, Memphis did a much better job limiting turnovers, taking care of the ball. Only 1 turnover after about the first 8 minutes of the second half. And you saw Memphis get a rhythm back, get back into the game. But Wichita State still found times to extend their lead a little bit. But even then, you could see that Memphis was just starting to gather some confidence. Wichita State did go up 32-39. But after that, Memphis went on an 8-0 run, and you can kind of say, I got to give a shout out to Baraka Okogie. Gotta shout out to Koji here because he hasn't played in a while. He didn't play at all in the last game against Charlotte, and Penny was asked about it in the press conference, and Penny was like, he'll be ready. There's no time for feelings, time for hard feelings. He'll be ready when his number's called. And credit Baraka Koji. He was ready when his number was called. He played with energy. He hit a corner three. He played with pace. And he was a real spark plug to help Memphis really just get out of the gross rut that they were in. So shout out to Baraka Koji. And then the other guy I want to shout out, PJ Carter. Y'all, come on. PJ Carter had a great game. He played so well today. He hit threes. Let me get a stat line really fast. 7 points, 4 boards. He only had 1 3, but the 7 points felt bigger than just 7 points, just watching the game. He felt so impactful, just getting a loose ball and then hitting that random jumper off of getting the loose ball that pushed the Memphis lead back up some more. He played with energy on defense, and he was active on the offensive side, constantly moving, finding a place to be. Yeah, I mean, you look at 7 points, like, whatever, 7 points. But you look at also the whole box score, PJ Carter was the third leading scorer on the team with 7 points. You got only 3 from Danger, and I see all the comments about Danger. I'll get to them in a bit. 3 from Danger, 5 from Jordan, and just 2 from Musa Cisse, who we talked about before. So those 7 points from PJ Carter, those are big 7 points. Third leading scorer on the team, which is pretty wild to state, but it's still a fact. So, credit Memphis for that second half. Like Roman said, my level of concern was pretty low as well. I thought Memphis was going to find the way to win the game, but at the same time, like I'm a fan of this team. I'm a fan of the Memphis Tigers, and it's hard for me to not get jittery in close games. It's hard for me not to. So yeah, I was still jittery, but yeah, man, I expected this to happen at some point for Memphis to get on a run, to start playing basketball. And then after Memphis made that 8-0 run, y'all, we had a ball game. I mean, it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was like a seesaw. Like, oh my gosh, nobody could get a real stop where nobody could put a run together. The only time Memphis was able to pull away was really at the end when Tyrese Hunter, well, he was a beast. Tyrese Hunter was a stud. He had that dunk off of a steal, and then he got another steal and then scored again. And that was it. Like that's game right there. Memphis was then up by 56-51, and that was essentially all she wrote. And Tyrese Hunter, he's spark plug. I said this on Twitter that at the under 16-minute media timeout, I typed in my game notes that I need to see Tyrese Hunter get going because he only had 5 points up to that point, and he just wasn't giving you much at all. But then he got going, 10 points in the second half, and he was a real spark plug to push Memphis away, to help them break away from the pack of Wichita State. So, yeah, Tyrese was huge. He played a great game. And then to talk about the ever-present PJ Haggerty, yeah, PJ also, come on, y'all. It's PJ. He's just an insane scorer. He just knows how to put the ball in the hoop. Oh, he's so good. He's just amazing. He's worth all of the praise as a scorer. There was that weird 2-on-1 where he just didn't pass the ball to Hunter, and then his tooth got chipped. I'm not really sure what happened. I know someone in the Blood City Media Discord said that it didn't look like there was contact, and I agree. I don't think it was contact, so maybe he hit a camera, or I'm not sure, but that was a weird moment. So besides that, and he also did have a lot of turnovers, but Memphis had a lot of turnovers, period. Besides that, PJ was keeping Memphis in this game. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. PJ Haggerty is why Memphis won this game. 22 points, 4 steals, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. He was 8 for 11 from the field, 1 for 2 from deep, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. I mean, this is just a typical PJ Haggerty game. Basically, like 20 points, and then like 5 boards, 5 assists. He only had 4, but you know what I'm saying. This is just typical PJ Haggerty. Him just being an absolute all-around stud, finding ways to impact winning. I just need him and maybe this might even be too harsh, but I want him just to slow down a little bit because the 5 turnovers, just him being reckless, some really weird passes in the first half especially. Just slow down a little bit, play maybe a little bit more controlled. But that's like the Monday morning quarterbacking of me. The post game where I'm sitting in my chair, whatever, talking about the game. Yeah, I mean, of course you can nitpick, but PJ was great. Much love for PJ Haggerty. He had a great game. He'd be my player of the game. No, actually, player of the game, I would give it to. No, screw it. I'll give it to PJ Haggerty. Y'all let me know in the comments who y'all think was your player of the game, and I'll definitely put him up here as well. But I think for me, it still has to be PJ. I know he had the 5 turnovers, but he kept us in this game, y'all. If it weren't for PJ's just bucket getting, Memphis probably would have lost because as the Memphis offense did not look that good. And so I'm going to this is now get to the comments that I was talking about before. Timo says here, it seems like all the shots that we're getting are hard shots or broken plays. I know they're running some sets, but given we have such smaller guards, it's hard to get anything going towards the basket. And Timo, that is the nail on the head. That's it. It's hard for them to generate really easy looks because of the size of the guards. I like Tyrese Hunter a lot, but I still want more from him. And I think it's just a matter of they just can't play so afraid going downhill. When I say they, and I'm not talking about PJ, because PJ, he'll get downhill running up a mountain. He'll find a way to get downhill. So I'm not talking about PJ. But Tyrese, I think there are too many times where Tyrese, you can see that he has a driving lane, but then he'll retreat dribble out of that driving lane to either find a pass or to call a screen or just something. Bro, be aggressive. Tyrese, be aggressive. Get to the rim. Get fouled. Be aggressive, man, because he is a good finisher. He had 10 points in the second half, and I think he had maybe four of those points, maybe 4 or 6 of those points. I can't think off the top of my head, but a decent amount were from Tyrese getting downhill and being aggressive and using his body and finishing over his man. I want to see more of that. They have to be aggressive because they're not that big. And so if you're not that big and then you play scared going downhill, that's the problem. I want them to not play scared. Colby Rogers too. I talked about it before. Colby does not get to the free throw line. But bro, try to get to the free throw line. Try and get downhill. Try and draw fouls. Because if your shot's not falling, and Colby's shot did not fall today at all, Colby was only 1 for 10 from the floor, 3 points. If your shot's not falling, then try and get to the line, bro. Try your best to get downhill, get to the line, get fouled. And I know that might not be a strong suit. I get it. But if your shot's not falling, you have to find other ways to impact winning. So as Wayne Kelly said here about Timo, the only guard capable of consistently making tough shots is Haggerty. There has got to be a fix for that. Well, the fix is, in my mind, being a better job of being aggressive at getting to the free throw line. The sets that Memphis runs, I'm not a coach. I'm not a coach. I'm not an offensive mastermind of play calling or anything like that. I'm not. I'm shocking, right? I'm not. But I think what will help Memphis on the offensive side is getting into their sets quicker. And I also think there's miscommunication on what sets they want to run, because even just looking at the guys on the floor, you see them always talking to each other and pointing at where they should be going. And that seems to me that they just aren't on the same page on either on what sets it's trying to be run or where players are supposed to be. Like, there seems to be some miscommunication on the offensive side, which stops them from getting into the sets that I know Penny has, that I know this coaching staff has worked on. So it falls back to what I said before. It's the mental thing. They've got to find ways to get locked in, and if they can, whatever that takes to be locked in on both sides of the ball, especially on offense, because we know defense, they're looking like a really good defensive team. then they've got to figure that out, because it's a real issue as to why they turn the ball over 20 freaking times and they fail to get into good sets, and you're relying on just pure shot making. They got it's a big thing, that it's a definite ceiling capper for this Memphis Tigers team. Shout out to let me find this comment 1 second. Shout out to Vic Cara here. Vic, I saw in the other comment that you're a Wichita State fan. Thank you for joining the stream. Hey, sorry about the loss, but I appreciate you joining the show, saying what's up. It's y'all are struggling right now, as we can see, unfortunately. And yeah, that's kind of what it felt like, that they didn't capitalize on the mistakes from Memphis. And it's clear that, like you said, the confidence for your squad is just not very high. But again, basketball is sports in general. It's just a fickle thing. If you find it, if you just need the spark, you just need something, then maybe Wichita State can get their mojo back and start playing better basketball in the conference. But Vic, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you a lot. Being on the other team after losing, I'm sure it's not easy to come into an opposing fan bases, opposing teams live stream talking about this game. But I appreciate you for sure for tuning in. Now, I do want to get to talk about the bigs. As Timo said, neither Cisse or Dane gave us anything today. Actually, none of the bigs gave us anything. Yep, essentially it. The bigs were pretty ineffective. I talked about Cisse already, but Jourdain, it was just Nick Jourdain game. I don't know. It was just I want so much more from him. We all want so much more from him, but this is just the Nick Jourdain game. 5 points, 2 boards. That's not good. I need Nick to have five boards, but the 5 points, that's pretty much what you're going to get from Nick Jourdain. It didn't really give you much, unfortunately, on the offensive side. But Danger being so ineffective, this was the worst Danger game of the year, no question. 3 points, 4 fouls, 5 turnovers, 1 steal, 8 boards. That's good. 8 rebounds is definitely good, and 1 assist. The 3 points, 5 turnovers, though. Whew, goodness me. This is the worst he's looked all year. And he also had a flagrant foul called on him as well. We know how good he can be on the offensive side. And I even remembered some moments where Wichita State, again, clear game plan to double Dane Danger whenever he gets the ball. I thought Dane, he made a couple good reads out of a double team. I think what killed Dane today was just stupid turnovers and for whatever reason in transition. Like I don't want to see Dane Danger go coast to coast after getting a board. As 2 times says here, hey Danger, quit the coast to coast turnovers. Yes, please. I'm with you 2 times. Please. None of that. I don't want to see you going coast to coast after getting a board again. Because no, I don't I don't want that at all. So I think he just didn't have a good game. This was Dane Danger's definitely worst game. But speaking on the topic of Dane, 2 times also said here, if you start Danger, then we have nothing off the bench. I hear you 2 times. We've talked about this a lot in the past about, and that's been like my argument against starting Dane Danger is that, well, there goes your bench production. But you look at the minutes distribution for the game. Musa Cisse, who started, played 16 minutes. Dane Danger, he played 28. So Danger basically played starter minutes anyway. So if Danger's going to basically play starter minutes but not start the game, I can't get behind that. I can't do it. He might as well just start. He might as well just help Memphis get into a better rhythm on the offensive side. So that's why I've pretty much come full circle with the whole Memphis should just go ahead and start Dane Danger, because he's already playing starter minutes. There's no real point to not start him at this point in time. So yeah, I think he just has to start. He's got to help this team off the rip, no question. Going through the chat, give me a sec. Ooh, okay. This is from USA Health Insurance Reform. Shout out to you. I know you tune in a lot, so thank you always. May be good to stick with the same starters because guys don't get jealous of one another. Just stick with the same group each game, no matter what. Yeah, that's okay. I hear you. There is a mentality switch of like, oh, I just got demoted from the starter and now I'm a bench player, and then like the elevation of a bench player to a starter player. I get the psychological aspect of that, no question. But just to push back, I don't think it should matter too much, especially if Cisse's playing only 16 minutes and then Danger plays 28. You're already, it's like psychologically that you're not even going to get the run. So I just think having defined roles would be really important too, because I think it's clear that Danger, that the coach that prefers Danger in the game because of his offense, because Cisse, he can't catch a cold, he can't catch anything, and so I think that while it's a fair concern to bring up, I still believe it's best for Memphis if Danger started. Yeah, that's how I feel for sure. As Gregory Garrett said this earlier, I will take an ugly win over an ugly loss any day. GTA, yeah, it's yeah, for sure. I've said that before. I'm happy Memphis is able to get the win. I'll take it over a loss any day of the week. And this gave me a chuckle, so I'll highlight it. Stop the negativity. Lamont, I'm like I'm such a positive person. I try to be a very positive human being. So if we're being too negative, I'm sorry. But at the same time, we still have to acknowledge the problems. And that's part of my job on this show, acknowledging the issues. But let's get positive. Lamont, I hear you. Let's get positive because there were some positive. Memphis on the defensive side was awesome. They were awesome. 22 turnovers forced. Wichita State shot only 40.4% from the field. They only shot 18.8% from three. And Memphis defensively, fantastic. And they also didn't get dominated on the glass. I don't like them losing on the glass, but Wichita State has some pretty good bigs. And so they only lost the rebounding battle by 3. And somehow, some way, Wichita State committed more turnovers than Memphis. Again, I don't really know how that happened, but it did. So yeah, there's some positivity for sure that Memphis was able to win the game. They were able to win a very, very, very ugly game, but they won. They're now 5-1 in the conference. They go back home Sunday. They face UAB. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I'm glad Memphis still won this game. Do not get me wrong. I'm very happy Memphis won this game. But along those lines, as Coach Kelly says here, winning or losing aside, how you play matters. If you want to be the team I keep hearing Penny wants and fans want. Aside from Charlotte, who won the second half, they've not played well since FAU. That's it. My question to y'all. I mean, I'll question to y'all since y'all are here. Appreciate y'all for being here. What are reasonable expectations for this team? Because I've asked guests, I've asked people, what are your expectations for this team? What's the ceiling of this team? I would love to hear y'all's thoughts in the comments too. What is this? What, in your opinion, what is the ceiling for this team? But also not just ceiling. What's a reasonable expectation for this team? Because Penny, as he's been very vocal about, his goal is to get Memphis to be a top 5 seed come NCAA tournament time. That's what he wants. He's tired of being in the 8-9 game. He's tired of, basically having to face the 1 seed. If you win your first game, he wants an easier path in the NCAA tournament. That's why he's scheduled so hard in the non-conference. And thankfully, Memphis built a resume that's well worthy of being a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. But right now, they're showing those cracks in the armor that, man, it may not be just cracks. They could just be full-blown issues to replace the armor, because these turnovers, it's just a constant issue. The rebounding, like we saw against Temple, Yeah, they didn't win the rebounding battle tonight, but that was awful against Temple. So bad. So I'm just, what is a reasonable expectation? Because I'm still trying to figure that out. Myself as person who loves his team, who covers his team, what is reasonable for me to expect from the Memphis Tigers for the rest of the year, where they finish, in the AAC, and then what's their seed in the NCAA tournament. So I'll just, I guess I'll just answer my question to the best of my ability. What's reasonable, I think, is Memphis wins the American Athletic Conference regular season title. So that means they probably lose at most twice, 2 more times in the season. And I think if 3 losses, I think could get you, I think that could give you an AAC title for the regular season. If they only lose 1 more time, that's 2 losses in the AAC, and I think that would definitely give you the AAC regular season title crown. But so I think that's reasonable. And then you enter the NCAA tournament as a 5 seed. I think that's the most reasonable expectation for this team. Win the American Athletic Conference regular season title. I think it's reasonable for them to then go ahead and win the conference tournament as well. And then they enter the NCAA tournament as a 5 seed. I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I think that is reasonable. What is the ceiling for this team? Well, the ceiling is clear. They win every single game in the conference, and then they win the American Athletic Conference tournament, and then they're as let me find the comment because I saw it earlier. Give me 1 sec. I should have started, so that's my fault. Give me a moment. Well, I don't see it right now, but someone said in the comments that they think Memphis will be a 3 seed, and I apologize for not pulling the comment up. I'm gonna still keep looking as I talk. Oh, here it is. Yeah, Jacqua here. Shout out to Jacqua. Memphis will be a 3 seed. Yeah, and I think that's the ceiling for Memphis is a 3 seed. And how does Memphis get to a 3 seed? Well, they get to a 3 seed by winning every single game the rest of the way. That means winning the conference tournament as well. And I think that gets you a 3 seed. I really do, because of the carnage of college basketball. You heard Trey and TJ talk about it in the commercial break for Tigers on Tap. You should have tuned in to Tigers on Taps. You heard them talk about how chaotic college basketball is. Yeah, it is chaotic. Teams are dropping like flies. Top 25 teams are losing basically every night. It's chaos out there. And so I think if Memphis can find a way to rise above the chaos and finish the rest of their season undefeated in conference, win the conference tournament, yeah, I think they're a 3 seed. Hell, I think they'll be a 3 seed. I think 2 seeds probably too high, but 3 seed I think is their ceiling. I'm not going to talk about their floor because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about their floor. But yeah, I think that's a fair ceiling for this team. But even then, let's just take things one game at a time. Because as King Meek said here, come out like this Sunday against UAB and they'll get run out of the form. Oh boy. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. If they come out this flat, this lack of care, this boring, this bored, oh, it's over. UAB is playing really good basketball now. They're starting to hit their groove. I know we picked on them earlier in the year because they were struggling. They deserved all the crap that was thrown at them because they were horrendous. They were awful to start the year. It's just absolutely terrible. But they're starting to play better basketball. They're starting to look like the team that should be a contender in the AAC. Just to take a quick glance at the American Athletic standings. Give me a moment. So Memphis is now tied for first. They're in first, but they are tied technically, but they will have the tiebreaker over North Texas because Memphis beat North Texas. So Memphis is 5-1. North Texas is 5-1. But then there's UAB, y'all. UAB is 5-1 too. Like I said, they're playing better basketball. And so this game on Sunday will be for the American Athletic Conference lead in the conference right now. Because if UAB wins, then they jump Memphis for the first place spot. I don't know when North Texas plays, so I don't know. I know North Texas beat UAB, So I don't know when North Texas plays. Maybe then they'll take the first spot if they win their game. I just don't know when they play. But either way, it's a big game Sunday. And so Memphis cannot be flat. They cannot look unmotivated. They just can't do it. This now is a pretty damn good UAB team that's starting to play much better basketball, and this is now a huge game. Huge game. There's no way around it. If Memphis cannot get up for this game, then I don't even know what to say. I'm going to come on this show and just be flat like them. I'll have no words. I won't say nothing. I won't have energy. I'll just look boring and tired. Because this is a rivalry game too. Y'all remember the Calipari days where Memphis played UAB at UAB and they're throwing stuff at Derrick Rose and Dozier and Dorsey and Tony Anderson. They're throwing all this crap on these dudes. This is a rivalry. These two programs, they don't like each other. These two teams, they don't like each other. The Andy Kennedy, the UAB coach, I don't think he likes Penny. I don't think Penny likes him. No, this is a real deal rivalry. As good as you can get rivalry-wise in the AAC. So Memphis can't get up for that. Shoot. I don't know what to say anymore. I won't know what to say. So let's hope they don't. Let's hope they don't come out flat. Let's hope they don't come out with no energy. Hey, let's hope they start danger. Let's hope they start danger. Will it happen? Who the hell knows? I have no idea. But let's hope they start them, because hopefully Memphis can then get off to a better start. And this home crowd, which I hope will be rocking in the FedEx Forum Sunday. Let me get the time for this game. Hopefully the FedEx Forum crowd will be rocking for this game at noon on Sunday on ESPN2. Yeah, let's hope this crowd's going. That Forum is popping, because when that Forum's loud, y'all, it's loud. So hopefully that Memphis can keep the crowd involved throughout the entire game against UAB. I hope it's a packed house, and I hope Memphis gets a dub. It's a dub they need every single game the rest of the way. They need to win these games. Quite frankly, if Memphis wants to be a top 5 seed come March, they can't afford to lose again. I really believe it. Even if you lose at UAB on March 2nd, I don't think Memphis will be a top 5 seed. They can win all their games, but they lose one more time, I think they drop, in my opinion. So these are all must-win games. So hopefully Memphis gets up. Hopefully they'll play hard. And hopefully that when I see y'all again, Memphis will be, hopefully victorious over UAB. But everybody tuned in today, I appreciate y'all. All love for you. Be sure to subscribe to Bluff City Media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you know as soon as we go live, as soon as the show gets dropped. We have just amazing people who do stuff for Bluff City Media. Yeah, I'm just happy to be a part of this. I really am. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Slugga Sports, SLUGGA Sports. And you can find Roman Cleary, who was on here earlier, at ROA Clear. So yeah, find us on Twitter, follow us, and follow Bluff City Media. And until next time, peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.